I'll do. When the email came out that Jairam sent to his partners in crime, the rest of the gang, saying that in that email, Lucy Letby had come out of the nursery to get him to come into the nursery with her to attend to baby Kay. That was a big thing, wasn't it? And what it told us was that when Jairam went with Breary and Dr. Holt, wasn't it, to the police, to the second police meeting to pique their interest, he obviously lied to them. And then he lied in the interviews he had with them, formal interviews later on. And then he lied in court twice. He committed perjury, and he also perverted the course of justice by lying in the first place in order to get the investigation started. And I absolutely agree that he lied to them. But the lie could be even way worse than that. And we could be in a sort of strange situation here in which the exposure of the lie is making us, whomsoever is looking at this, rely on an apparently exculpatory, well, not apparently, on an exculpatory piece of information that is still not true in and of itself. What do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is that not only wasn't Lucy Letby in the nursery on her own, and Jairam was just sitting there and he got it into his head, oh God, I'm worried about her. I know I'm hysterical, but I've got to go in there. And neither did she come out to him to get him either. So neither of those things happened. So what did happen? That she wasn't there at all. It wasn't her. And this is where I think we need to bring back Pauline Relf's absolutely amazing analysis from pretty much a year ago, which I found on brilliant channel Jabe's Allowed. I think it's the second video that Jabe put up. It says 11 months there, so it's getting on for a year. And the title of that video is Lucy Letby, Evidence to Suggest Dr. Jairam's Account is Not Accurate, Pauline Relf. So the video is done by Pauline Relf. And I'm going to put the link below. And it's possible, because it's some time ago, that some people either didn't see it at the time or just simply are not aware of it. And in the interim, because we had that leaked email now, it's understandable that's what you want to go with in terms of it's supportive of Lucy Letby. And it very much is so. And it is still possible that it was her that came out to get him. But it's possible that Jairam's lie has another layer to it, so it's even worse, in that somebody came out to get him, a nurse came out to get him, possibly Nurse Oakley. We don't know. Certainly, Lucy Letby did not testify in the trial that she was, quote unquote, babysitting baby Kay and she remembers it all. The sat started to drop and she went out to get Dr. Jairam. She didn't testify that. She's not said that anywhere at all. Correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that her testimony about that night in respect of baby Kay is that she has pretty much no memory of that night in particular. She certainly doesn't say she was charged with looking after baby Kay as a kind of in a babysitting position, because she had two other babies in a different nursery to look after. And that's why I would implore people, especially those who have not seen it, to watch Pauline Relf's analysis of that unit, of the three nurseries, and the logistics of the nurses going in and out of places and the times and who would have seen what. No point in me reprising it here. Just I'll put the link down below. So we're in this strange situation in which, yes, it's a fantastic thing to jump on that email, and it does show And talking about this now, it doesn't mean that we're destroying the idea that Jayaram's lied, because he's lied in any case. But the level of his lie might actually even include the fact that not only did a person come out to get him, rather than him getting something in his head, a bee in his bonnet, and going in there at 9:51, even then later in the second trial he has to change the time, but that a person did come out to get him, another nurse, and that Lucy Letby may have come and joined in afterwards, after the alarms had started, later. And that's something that Pauline Relf also talks about in her video there. It struck me, and I talked about it in a video some months ago, in which I felt personally the register of language that he's using in the email in the spring of 2017 to his partners in crime, the rest of the gang of consultants, talking about that night where he says Nurse Letby came to get Dr. Jayaram, is that he's not writing it from his memory. He's copying notes. I think the title of my video was "It's the Notesman." It's the Notesman, it's the notes. Because there's something about the register, and other people said in comments, and it was a fair comment, they said, well, that's just the way he was writing, because that's his doctor medico style of writing. But my contention was that was it actually just possibly notes he was writing from, contemporaneous notes of February 2016, written by whomsoever. We know already that different people complete notes on behalf of other people. They do that after the shift. They don't necessarily do it exactly when things are happening, because they're too busy dealing with the things that are happening when they're happening. And how easy would it be in that melee, and when the alarms are going off and there's a crash of an infant, for somebody else to be writing a note there saying Nurse Letby came out to talk to Dr. Jayaram, and say another person, one of the other nurses on shift wrote that, and they mistook who it was who'd actually, in the confusion, in the suddenness, in the height of the emotion of it, and everybody all hands on deck as it were with the alarms going off, and afterwards they write up the notes, a person does, and they just get the name wrong. And the reality of what happened on that night, as per Pauline Relf's video, is that Lucy Letby was in a different nursery. Yes, she may have come in afterwards and joined them, left the two babies that she was looking after when she heard the alarms. But by that time, Jayaram was already in nursery 1, wasn't it? Was already in the nursery where baby K was. And then so Lucy Letby not only wasn't caught, quote unquote, red-handed on her own by Jayaram walking into there, and there's this other nurse that should have been there anyway. So what was she doing? I think is Caroline Oakley, I think it is. But it doesn't matter. All the names are in Pauline Relf's video below. It's just the simple fact that, the idea that Lucy Letby wasn't, quote unquote, babysitting that baby at all. And she never was alone. She wasn't even there. She was in another nursery looking after two other babies. Yes, she may have been part of the general response once the alarm started going off. Why am I saying all this? It's because we're trying to get, are we not trying, shouldn't a court, aren't we all trying to get to the truth of the matter? And yes, it works very well, and it's right, and it shows that Jayaram's lying in any case, whether it was or was not Lucy Letby who came out to get him. Someone did. But it is likely, or is certainly more than possible, that Lucy Letby was not in that nursery when baby K was crashing before Jayaram attended that baby on hearing the alarms, and there are other nurses who said the alarms were going. So this is the problem, where you've got a mixture of potential failures of memory, notes. I'm not talking about Jayaram there. I'm not talking about him. but it could include him in that sense. When he's, there's so many layers there. And if he is copying notes when he's writing that, or he's referring as his source material to the contemporaneous notes of February 2016, when he's writing the email in the spring of 2017 to the gang, then he's just copying that over. And if it says Lucy Letby there, then that might be in his memory, or it might not be in his actual memory. Either way, what he tells the police is a complete fabrication again. So we've got these three layers of it. We've got the obvious fabrication that he tells to the police, which gets sent to the CPS, and then he tells that lie that he commits that perjury twice in 2 trials. That's true, that he does that. It's just that the actual truth of what happened there might have been something else again, other than Lucy Letby coming out to get him. Might have been another nurse coming out to get him. Lucy Letby in another nursery altogether, as Pauline Relf outlined so brilliantly in her video. Link below. That's the best thing to watch. As I say, it's nearly a year old, on Jabe's wonderful channel. Fantastic that Jabe has kept it up there. Absolutely necessary to watch, and just adds another layer to the falsity of what ends up in the court in the prosecution side. So there we are. Wanted to bring it back into play because I think it's the kind of thing that gets submerged under the water when this new thing comes in, and now we're hooked into this new story, as it were, which still might not be the truth. But it doesn't work against Lucy Letby. The actual truth, and again, just to repeat, Lucy Letby, as far as I'm aware, please tell me if I'm wrong, she hasn't at any time, or any time in that court case, has she said, yes, I remember, or in any police interview, yes, I was there, I was caretaking baby K, the SATs dropped, and I thought, oh God, I got to get Dr. Jairam, and I went out and got him. She's never said anything of the sort. It's possibly because she was in another action. The likelihood there, she doesn't remember that because that didn't happen, because she was in another nursery altogether, attending to 2 different babies, and then may have joined in afterwards once the alarms had started. But again, when she's being asked about those things, it's years down the line. And then we've got the issue of when Jairam is writing that email, is he copying it from notes which in themselves could be erroneous? And it was actually a different nurse that had come out to Jairam, but someone did. So his story that ends up in the prosecution is, either way, is a fabrication, and it works to pique the interest of the police. And without his fabrication, i.e. without his lie, there would have been no investigation, there would be no Evans, and I wouldn't be doing this video now, and you wouldn't be listening to it, because nobody would have heard about this case, because there never would have been a case. There never would have been these false charges leading to false convictions. Thanks very much. Please check out Pauline Relf's amazing video, which I think hasn't been contended with in any way, or hasn't been opposed in the sense, or I can't think of the word. It hasn't been bettered in its analytical rigor, as far as I'm concerned anyway. Thanks very much, and have a great rest of the weekend. Bye-bye.